Hello everybody, welcome to Idle Game Chat. This is Dimp Digital's weekly video game podcast. You've got myself, Apps, running the operations for this episode. I am joined by a brand new guest this week, all the way from Perth, Australia. It's Pac-Man himself, it's Tom Adcock. Tom, how you doing, mate?
Yeah, I'm good, thanks, mate. How are you?
Yes, not too bad. Good connection all the way over in Australia. You've just finished eating your dinner. I'm sort of midday here in the UK. We've made it work and we've got you on here. You've been on previous Dimp Digital podcast episodes, but it's your first appearance on IGC. So I'd like you just to give the audience at home an idea or a flavour for what your gaming preferences are. And also, if you could explain kind of like your on-the-road situation, how that impacts your gaming these days, because it's obviously shook things up for you.
Yeah, okay. Well, I've been playing games for a long time. I guess my main type of games are your single-player action-adventure type games.
Yeah.
I'm a big Nintendo fan, though, so always stick with them. On-the-road situation is making gaming hard.
Yeah.
Nigh on impossible. I have my trusty 3DS, which I've downloaded a bunch of games that I don't play very often, if I'm honest.
Yeah.
And I'm currently housed up with my sister in Perth, and I do have access to a couple of PCs.
All right.
PlayStation 4.
Yeah.
So that's about it.
So you're talking about your 3DS and you bought a load of titles on there. Didn't you say you went on the Nintendo store not long ago and bought a load of old school ones for a cut price?
They had like a birthday celebration and there's a bunch of stuff at 50%, so I've done that. But yeah, I don't know. I guess maybe it's because it's stored away. I always forget to dig it out and don't often play it. But so I bought like 6 games and I've not played any of them yet.
That is the trouble these days. When you eventually return back to the motherland of the United Kingdom, what are your plans to do with game? Are you going to set up like a new lab for it, or are you gonna get a PC? Because you've got all the consoles sitting there at home.
Yeah, I've got everything but one, so
I
do want to get one of those as well. And I mean, a new house needs a PC, so why not make it a gaming rig? It seems ridiculous not to. So that's my plan. But I've never really been a PC gamer, so it's all new. I've tried playing Outlast actually just today.
Oh, right.
With mouse and keys, and it's a different experience.
Yeah, we'll talk about Outlast later, and we'll perhaps talk about your experience with the controls for sure. There's a couple of news items I wanted to just run over before we get to the main kind of meat of this. First of all, No Man's Sky has gone gold. So that basically means the game is done. It's ready for distribution. So the only thing that can really go wrong at this late stage is if they have a problem with manufacturing or getting the copies of the games out there. But for all intents and purposes, it's coming 9th of August in the US and August the 10th in Europe, which is good news. Are you hyped up for this game? I mean, obviously you're not going to get probably a chance to play it, but have you seen much on this particular title? It's one of the biggest, highly anticipated games it's been for a while, and no one really knows a great deal about it.
Yeah, I mean, I saw the original trailer. I think that's about it, and then heard all the buzz, from the online communities and you guys and that. But I don't know a great deal about it, to be honest. But I'm glad to know it's going gold and it's coming out. I mean, if it's got a release date that soon, that's happening surely. There's nothing that can go wrong there.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's supposed. I think the original release date was slated for, I think it was late end of June, I believe. So it should have already been out, and it was only a month ago or so they sort of pushed it back. So, but the fact that they've announced it's gone gold means that they're done with messing around with it. It's the main bit's done, so we should be getting that very soon. A game that is actually out and is everyone's been looking forward to this one. It's Pokémon GO. So you can get that in most regions at the moment. I've only seen one review out from Pocket Gamer, and it earned itself a 9 out of 10. So that's a pretty high review there, one for Hall's fantasy team for sure. But I wanted to read 2 quotes to you, and this is out of order really, but these are 2 particular quotes, and just see whether you think that hearing this, it should be a 9 out of 10. So here we go. The battles themselves are unwieldy and dissatisfying, with the only action being swipe to dodge, which is often unresponsive, and tap to attack. Next quote. After a while, though, the excitement wears off. This wouldn't be disastrous, but the game's lack of depth exuberates these exceptionally smaller rushes. Sort of 9 out of 10 for that.
That's from the review that gave it the 9 out of 10.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, they're out of context, to be fair, but
yeah, they absolutely are. But we are
damning though, aren't they?
We're dealing with newspaper headline. That's what we do here. We take the best bits. But someone in the quotes went, how's that? That sounds like a 4 out of 10. They read the whole review, obviously, and he came back and went, oh, nostalgia plays a big part. And I was like, come on.
Yeah, that doesn't bode well if it's got no depth and the battles, which are surely that's kind of 50% of what you do, isn't it? You find them and then you battle them. So.
Yeah, it's annoying for me. I've got a personal interest in a vendetta against this because it's one of Hall's fantasy picks. I need it to start getting. There's people doing things like that. It annoys me. Oh, nostalgia. 9 out of 10.
Yeah,
it's dissatisfying. Unresponsive. Disastrous. He's even said. Jesus,
mate. It's one review. Pocket Gamer, trusted website.
Trusted source for apps for sure, but not anymore. It's
like getting your reviews from Lad Bible. don't buy too much into that. You're safe, mate.
I'm surprised that Lad Bible do not do game reviews. They'll be absolute comedy to read. Third piece, Evolve is going free to play. So you may have remembered that game from last year, the asymmetrical 4v1 monster slain extravaganza.
Oh yeah, I know. Yeah.
Hall went and bought this back when it came out. I think it was last February, and so. Pants down for him. He didn't get enough play time out of it. The player base has just evaporated, so I can only assume that they're trying to get some more money out of it, essentially by making it free and hoping people buy microtransactions. To be fair, if it arrives free to play on a console, I'll probably give that a go. I won't.
Mate, I think it's a good business model, isn't it? Like it's just like, I don't know, draining the dregs. It's been sold. It's probably gone on to a cheaper price mark and then make it free. Yeah, exactly. Although they can't just keep doing that. You get people waiting around for the
free copy.
The free copy, but why not?
Yeah, I mean, it's worth a go. It's a roll of the dice. I mean, like you said, the sale, no one's going to pick that up these days. Like probably 4 people a month. So it's not worth their time to that. Why not try and open it out, sort of relaunch it, and hope people.
I wonder if the development team or someone back there is thinking there's like a good idea for a number 2, but they just need to know if there's going to be a community around it. I mean,
you could well be right there. It's an easy way to test the waters, isn't it? If they make a few changes to it. Last piece of news, and I don't want to get into this too much because it is a little bit complicated, but 2 YouTubers have been snarled up in a Counter-Strike Global Offensive lottery scandal. So the chaps are called Trevor Martin and Tom Cassell. Both have millions of subscribers between them, so they're quite popular out there. Sort of just tracking behind Dimp Digital, but they'll get there one day if they keep it up.
Sure. Of course.
They upload videos like all YouTubers do, but they upload a few videos where they've been showing people and promoting a skin gambling site called CSGO Lotto, where users can bet their skins. Now, these skins within CSGO, you can buy them. You buy them for real money in like little boxes and loot boxes, and you can trade them between each other. And there's quite a bit of money to be had here. Some skins, particularly for the professional players, are worth quite a lot of money. It turns out that these pair of clowns actually owned CSGO Lotto. So they were sitting there saying, "Oh, go on this site where you can win loads of skins and make some money out of it." And it turns out they owned it, so it's a bit of a bad ethics choice there. The house edge of the actual lotto was about 8%. So in some cases they were obviously taking home part of that. It's a bit of a bad thing to be doing. Using your YouTube channel to promote a site without disclosing your ownership to it, and it's blown up. It's a big shitstorm in the world of CSGO and for YouTubers in general, sort of all questions about morals and ethics. These 2 have now been added to a class action lawsuit which was filed last month against Valve for facilitating or facilitating illegal online gambling or things like this. So they've been added to that, which is not going to be good for them. Needless to say, it's bad news all round. You won't find, just for the record, you will not find any questionable morals or ethics here at Dimp Digital, although we do actively encourage bigotry, homophobia and sexism. So that's the sort of trade-off you get. Let's crack on to what we have planned for this episode. You're a massive Resident Evil fan. So I wanted to do a quick recap on the series. Obviously, post E3, there's some information dropping about Resident Evil 7, and it's quite a big change. It's a good time to be talking about it. See where they are at now, what the future holds, talk about the Resi 7 demo, and then move on to survival horror in general and see perhaps where that's going to be going in the near future, what's happened to that particular genre. But let's talk about Resident Evil, the full recap. To my knowledge, you've played every game in the series, haven't you?
Yeah, definitely all the mainline ones. Maybe not some of the spin-offs.
Yeah. There was some Wii versions, weren't there? Like light gun sort of.
Yeah, they've done like on-rail shooters and some Zappa game ones on the PlayStation 2 and some online ones I think as well. So.
Yeah, there's a few of those that dropped. Yeah, there's even like Umbrella Corps, which has come out recently, got an awful reception. That's like a multiplayer third-person shooter. It's sitting at 39.32% on game rankings. So
excellent.
Why are they?
Boys at Capcom are loving that.
I don't know why they bother sometimes.
No
one wanted it, and it wasn't very good. It sounds like so. It is poor. What do you think your favourites out of the series are? I mean, if you had to pick a few, I mean, they're all very good. Probably apart from we'll get on to 6 later on its own because we both played for that together, unfortunately. But have you got any favourites between sort of 1 to maybe 5? And people might say there it started dropping off a little bit.
Yeah, I think they're the pretty standard ones, really. I'd say 1, 2, like the GameCube remake that was remade on next-gen consoles recently.
That's out.
That's great. Yeah, 2's really good, great story, and I've heard they're going to redo that as well, I think. Yeah. Makes sense. And then number 4, the first one that had like the over-the-shoulder view, sort of more action-orientated.
Yeah.
I think those 3 are probably the top 3.
That's it. I mean, Resident Evil 1 Remake, as you said, just one of your favourite. I think you even picked it as your top games in our list we done many moons ago.
Yeah, it'd be up there.
You certainly loved it. That was a great remake, and it added some new facets to the game. The core gameplay didn't change, but obviously they added the Crimson Heads and new areas and whatnot, and added a lot more to the backstory. There's a lot more notes there. With a Resident 2 remake, how do you think they should go about that? Should it be fixed camera, tank controls, the game that we know and love with a polished graphical upgrade, or should they go for a full remake, perhaps what they're doing with a Final Fantasy VII, where they're actually changing how the game plays? What would you like to see from a Resident Evil 2 remake?
Personally, I'd love it if they done what they did with the first one. So I can't remember the percentage, but it was like a 30% new game or something.
Yeah.
New areas, complete
new surprises,
locations. Yeah, exactly. That's great. I think that's going to keep your core fans in. Saying that, it's a lot longer since this game came out and when this first remake's going to happen, so they could probably get away with just sprucing everything up, putting on the new controls and shipping it out that way. I don't know how they're going to do it. I mean, I don't know how popular these games are, and especially the older ones are nowadays, so I don't know what kind of time and money they're going to put into it. But for me, if they could make it the same but new, that would be amazing. I think they have to give players the option of the newer controls. You can't do that once and then take that back. That'd be ridiculous. But I'm guessing they'll have tank controls in for the purists. And obviously I'm sure it'll look great when it's all spruced up to today's standards.
I mean, Resident Evil 2 in itself, a lot of people say some people say it's their favourite one. Obviously, you've gone with one of your favourite, but at the time, was it a big boost? Because you had the mansion, obviously, in Resident Evil 1, and that kind of brought on this whole survival. You can't, take away the impact that Resident Evil 1 had on the video game community. It was just, there's not a lot out there that done it that well. Resident Evil 2 coming along, it was set in Raccoon City and whatnot. How did it feel like a big upgrade from 1, or was it, more of the same? Was it that sort of upgrade that you was hoping for?
Yeah, I mean, I think it was a nice change of location.
Yeah.
I think back then, zombies weren't as popular as they are now, so it was cool kind of seeing the apocalypse and seeing the streets in ruin and whatnot.
Yeah.
And they're quite clever because it was still, completely tied in. You had no freedom to go anywhere they didn't want you to. It was still fixed cameras, but it gave you a good impression of a city in ruins. And I mean, looking back, the puzzles are ridiculous. You've got a police station with movable statues and secret rooms. Nothing makes any sense, but It doesn't matter, does it? It was cool back then. So yeah, it was good. It was like a real natural upgrade, like going from the mansion, that one location, to an entire city essentially.
Yeah, and we move on to say Resident Evil 3, which you didn't mention on kind of your favourites list. Was that formula starting to wane then, like the tank controls, the way that the characters move, the puzzles and whatnot? Obviously you had the Nemesis, the big. Was it called the Nemesis? What was his name? That big fucker. Yeah, he used to come along and just fucking cause hassle. That must have added a new dimension in some respect. Feel like you're being hunted by this bastard.
Yeah, mate, I was loving it. I don't think apart from Silent Hill, which was completely different, really. There wasn't a lot else doing it. Like, the same sort of game. So to have 3 in short succession, they were all on the original PlayStation, so they were coming out by a yearly, maybe. Or I don't know what the spread is, but it's probably not a long time. But no, I loved it. I loved Resident Evil 3. It's a great game. I mean, the controls are the same, and it is similar. I think it's even set within the same, like literally the same time period as 2 or 1 or whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, Nemesis is a wicked baddie, and I love the way he just comes busting through, and you never quite know when it's going to happen, and you had the split storylines then, depending on what you done, and you had the choices. Yeah, it's really good. Loved it.
Yeah, so that 2 had that as well, where you could choose a different scenario, couldn't you? Essentially.
2. Yeah, you chose different characters, then you had so basically you would then crisscross each other at various points in the game, and you could play it from both sides, which was it's pretty clever.
So did that encourage replayability on both of those for you, having those features in there?
I've never been a massive replay person, but I mean a load of people would have definitely done that. So yeah, it's a great idea. You've got all the assets there, haven't you? It's only a small.
Yeah, it's a tweak, isn't it?
It's a good idea.
In what's going on. We look at, before we go into Resi 4, we look at some of the spin-offs. We had Resident Evil 0 and Code Veronica. How do they stack up in your mind? Looking back, I mean, you've sighed there, which is an indication of a lack of interest. Which was it? One of those that you didn't get to finish because you didn't have enough ammo? Or was that a different?
Yeah. Code Veronica on the Dreamcast. I've got a soft spot for this one. It is good. It's very similar.
Yeah.
I do like it. Basically I'd done a save game, but locked myself out of like an ammo room, like all the last bits of ammo. So I had to face the last boss with tons of health. Like I could last for about 30 minutes, but no weapons whatsoever.
Jesus.
And I didn't have the internet at the time, so have no idea if there was probably something around that could help me. But I must have tried to beat that boss, I don't know, 100 times. No joy. Livid. Never going back to do that.
No.
But it's Resident Evil 0 is the one I kind of want to like it, but just can't. This one, they're a bit Zelda-esque in that they kind of try to introduce, a new gimmick in quite a lot of them.
Yeah.
And this one had like a partner zapping system.
Right.
It was just a bit.
You could share inventory and stuff, couldn't you? And
shared inventory.
You had to fucking move bits between though, didn't you? Like to move between characters, and people were saying, it's an aggravation. Having to keep doing that.
I'm sure you're aware of like how the originals worked, where you had those kind of magical boxes where you would put something in,
and it'd take up certain amount of space, and
and then you go to a crate elsewhere in the game, and whatever you've put in crate A is magically in crate B, and you can just pick it up and you can go on.
Yeah.
But in 0, if you wanted to give one character a wrench, you had to leave it on the floor, and then the other character had to go all the way backtrack, pick up the wrench, move on. And you might have to keep swapping between the two like that. So it's just, and there was a lot of puzzles. Like you'd be at the top of like one of those, I don't know the name of them, but where you've got like you bring food up and down a level, like in an old house. And you would have to, just move items around like that. It was just slow and frustrating. And it's probably the one I never really got on with, even though, it was the guys who done the GameCube HD remake, and it looks amazing.
Yeah.
And it's got some nice bits in. I've never beat it, and but I don't have the, it's not like Veronica where it's like a soft spot I'd kind of like to go back to one day. That one, thought of it kind of fills me with dread a bit. I wouldn't want to go back to it.
Yeah, I think that's actually out on the PS4 and Xbox One. So you can, there's a double pack actually on sale at the moment in Europe. So you can get both of them for about £11, which.
It's a bargain, mate.
Or you can just get Resi 1 for $6.50. Probably best off doing that based on what you've said, if you're going to go down one sort of area of it. We then come to Resi 4, because Resi 4, it's a landmark title because it changes everything. Is it the end? Like, we'll go into the game in a bit, but is this the end of Resi's survival horror roots, essentially? Because we get over the shoulder, and there's a lot more action kicking off here. Although you do still get the terrifying moments, it's a lot more subdued.
Yeah, it's definitely a different feel than the others, like completely. But like you said, yeah, so you've got a lot more ammo. You're definitely not running out of that.
No, no.
No, but yeah, it's much more like action orientated. But it was at a time when I guess there was nothing else like this.
Yeah.
So you kind of didn't know what to expect because you'd never seen anything like this before.
No.
So yeah, it's definitely a real highlight for the series. And I know they kind of scrapped. They got pretty far into making it.
Yeah, ended up being Devil May Cry, didn't it?
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Scrapped that and then started again. And I mean, I don't know how often that comes out with an absolute cracker of a game. Not often, I wouldn't have thought. So, yeah, kudos to them. They, changed things up, took a massive risk, and pretty much created a new genre in the doing so.
Was it when it first came out? Was you a bit taken aback how different it was, or was you lapping it up, like scooping, eating it up, thinking, "Oh, this is great. This is actually what I wanted," without knowing it beforehand?
Not until I'd finished it and kind of had set it to rest for a while. I don't think I particularly enjoyed it as much as I wanted it to be like the original series. I was still really keen on those. So when this came out and it was like an action mess, I was like, this isn't Resident Evil to me. This isn't what it's about.
Yeah.
But I remember it being a 2-disc special, and I remember really not particularly getting keen on the first disc, loving the second. I remember sort of it built and built and built, and I was liking it by the end, and then like afterwards, like a good book maybe or a film, you kind of sit it down and then you think about it and you're like, you know what, that was a good ride, that was good.
Yeah.
So yeah, it took a while.
For those interested, it's coming on PS4 and Xbox One August the 30th, so it will arrive on the current consoles for those that want to have a go at that. I did try and have a go at this based on your recommendation about 4 years ago on the Xbox One. I got to that castle, which is like the second main bit, and I couldn't do it anymore. I don't know what it was. I couldn't. Maybe it was just too old at the time. But for that, if you played it back in the day, it's groundbreaking, isn't it? To have that.
Yeah, I think I remember you saying this, and I think you're totally right. I think because it was the first of this over-the-shoulder view type, Gears of War-esque game.
Yeah.
So many games came out after it. You're used to those snap cover, running and gunning, and you can't do things like that on it. It feels like a dinosaur, I think, then, because everyone's played a game similar.
Yeah.
And all those games, they might not be better games, but mechanically speaking, they probably are better. And if it doesn't work control wise, I think you're gonna struggle. It's gonna take some getting used to.
Yeah, I think to play it back in its prime would have been obviously ideal. But for those that are willing to overlook that, definitely look for your release on the PS4 and the Xbox One. Some people put that down as one of the best games ever made. Do you agree with that sentiment? You've been around a long time, played lots of games from all walks of life, going back to Icicle, Spectrum games, PlayStation 4 games. You've done it all. Does that rank in there amongst it all?
If you're doing it by which I think is the fair way, like the app's sort of golden standard of only rating it against games of their own generation, then absolutely. Yeah.
I don't think many people can deny that for sure. We'll then move on to Resi 5. So to me, outsider's view, I never really got to play Resident Evil 5 either, although I did want to. I can't remember the exact reason why, but it seemed quite similar to 4 in the way it was playing. It kept that over-the-shoulder kind of movement and mechanics, but they added a co-op element to it. So you could play side by side with your friend, and it sounds like to me, without playing it, that's sort of like a match made in heaven. Bit of co-op, share it with your friend, go through the experience together, but for whatever reason, it's never quite... I don't feel like it ever hit its potential in terms of its reception and what people were expecting from it. Is that a fair assessment?
Yeah, they added the old racism in, didn't they? Got in trouble for that.
Yeah, they did, yeah.
Can't be shooting people in African villages.
No,
Livid.
That was
I think that's fair enough, mate. I think it just went a bit too... on the action side, probably, is one. So, and having somebody with you just, I guess, takes away any kind of
tension,
fear factor probably.
Yeah.
You've got a buddy there the whole time, makes it a lot easier in that respect.
Yeah.
And then I think the other thing is I can't remember the times again, but it took them a long time to get this out. And I think whereas 4's groundbreaking, 5 just come across as like out of date and tired by the time it released. It was just
it's like 2009, so it's
so many people copied the genre and
improved
kind of done it better. Yeah, exactly. And they were then still like behind the times. Yeah, it just felt really, really out of date, I felt. And then that much further on from anything that what a Resident Evil game should be.
Yeah,
you're struggling then. I think it's not as bad as probably some people would have believe, but it's a step down from 4. It's kind of like a classic bad sequel. They've just gone for everything bigger, more over the top.
Doesn't fit the atmosphere.
Tacked on co-op and gone, that's you done. And it's, I don't know, you kind of need more, especially in a, if you're going to make people wait 5 or 6 years for it.
You need better. I remember, so when you talked about it not being as, the fear factor not being there, and I mentioned it with Resident Evil 4, they kind of diluted it a little bit, but there were still moments in that, even in the broad daylight of that village where you first rock up, and the guy with the chainsaw is roaring round in Resi 4. That's terrifying. Still,
it's terrifying.
It's broad daylight. There's no darkness, and he's running around. You're going up ladders. You're running on top of roofs, trying to get away. He seems indestructible, and they had moments like that in Resi 4, which still kind of allowed it to creep back into its roots and drag people that still enjoyed those moments and pull it in and say, look, you can still do this with a slightly faster, actiony type of game. And just looked like Resident Evil 5 didn't quite capture that, and having the co-op element definitely dilutes the fear. And I will look at something like Dead Space 3, which wasn't a particularly good game, but having played Dead Space 1, which I really enjoyed, really really terrifying game, playing 3, I played it through with Biff, there's no fear factor there whatsoever, because you're chatting on the headset, you're not really soaking in what's going on. If one of you dies, you can pick them up, and it does dilute the fear factor. The best moments of those games is when you get separated and you both have to survive, and I feel like they could do a lot more of that with these type of games. We talk about co-op as well, and we go to Resident Evil 6, the absolute, some people will say, abomination. This, unfortunately for me, thanks to your hype of it, was this is my first introduction to a Resident Evil game, and we sit there and we play through Resident Evil 6. You phone up Game a week before launch and say, Resident Evil coming out next Tuesday, are you going to do a midnight launch? They say, not for Resident Evil, mate, put the phone down. So they
literally laughed me off the receiver, mate. It's hilarious.
I couldn't believe it asked it. I kind of thought it was, but to be fair to you, it was the best selling one of the franchise, so people wanted it.
That's ridiculous. It had a great trailer though, that game, if nothing else.
What went wrong here? Because you slagged off Resident Evil 5, but it's still okay. This, I just couldn't believe what I was playing sometimes.
It's ludicrous, wasn't it? What are they doing? What are they thinking? How have they? I mean, fair play to them. They tried something different. Like, was it four like
3 or 4 campaigns? It's 3 campaigns, and you unlocked Ada's one, didn't you? Yeah.
And fair enough. One's kind of goes back to the more survival horror roots. The other 2 are a bit more action orientated.
Yeah.
But my God, it's a mess. Like, all I remember is those massive creatures the size of houses
just getting bigger and bigger.
To kill them. That bit where you had to climb that ladder and you couldn't press X and Y.
No, it was a glitch, mate. Basically to hold RB, I think, and I was pressing it and he kept slipping off. And I was getting irate because I wanted it done that night. I thought it was near the end, but I think it went on for another 2 hours of just constant evolving monsters getting bigger and bigger. But and that was really pissing me off. But I don't know.
All I remember, it was just all so just below average, like the worst type of game.
Yeah.
Just
chuck everything in
through
there.
The motions, everything's big, but nothing really killed you. You kind of, like you said, you could always revive someone.
Yeah.
I just remember running around most of the time, not really knowing even what I was meant to be doing.
No. There was some potential in Leon's campaign. It kind of I thought, right, they're going back to their roots here. It's a little bit more darker, a bit slower paced, but even that just turned into essentially you standing in a room and zombies coming in, you just killing them like wave after wave. There's no.
Yeah.
I'll talk about Resident Evil 4, where you're running around that village, going up over ladders, going through windows, going downstairs, going into new houses. There was none of that in this. It was just, I remember one area where I think you're in a gun shop, and you're just cornered into this gun shop, and you can just see the zombies coming through the window, and you just shoot them. That's all you're doing. It's just, there was none of this kind of panic ensued. You just dig in, get out your shotgun, and blow them away. It just wasn't very good.
Yeah.
And I look at the Ada Wong campaign. You could play it. I think you had to unlock it after doing the first 3, and it was co-op. But obviously it wasn't designed for co-op, so you were just this like faceless, like umbrella, like soldier that had like a gas generic soldier.
Man.
Yeah,
it was terrible. Like, talk about tack it on at the end, and yeah, it just felt so shit. It was such an afterthought. It was ridiculous. Just at that point, just say each player goes their own separate way, and if they want to beat the extra campaign, they do it.
Yeah.
Like, and it would jump. It was like playing as Tails in Sonic. It would like jump me ahead to bits. Like, there was none of the sort of cutscenes weren't made for 2 people.
No, you just disappear, wouldn't you?
I wasn't there. Yeah, it's ridiculous. I was literally just there tagging along. No one acknowledged me. It would never say you. It would always say like Ada.
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
Would you ever go back and play that game for any reason?
No. God, no.
It's a shame.
Mate, you can be a fan. You can't. No one's liking that. It's got a couple of good set pieces in it, probably.
Nostalgia,
sure
like the Pokémon GO. Nostalgia. It's got Leon, Chris. It's got all the characters that you would ever want.
Oh, Wesker's coming.
Yeah, Wesker's son.
No one cares. No, that's the thing with those games. I think that's where Capcom go wrong. Is that people think. I feel like Capcom think like, oh, people want to know these people's stories and that.
No.
Like, it got ridiculous after like 1 or 2. No one cares. Just, you could reboot this. You could do whatever the fuck you want with it.
Yeah.
Like Leon's, he's nobody. They just made him muscly one day, and no one cared. Like, it means nothing to anyone. They're just the people who are getting to this shit situation. You have to try and get out. It's no storytelling to be done.
Yeah,
it's
a convoluted
mess.
I was going to ask you about the lore and see whether you wanted to keep things like Umbrella, Wesker, Leon, Chris, but you sound like you're happy just to scrap them. They're not.
Mate, do what you want, mate. I think the thing is, there's not many games that need a lore. There's very few, in fact. I think, Tomb Raider, Pete, that's an iconic hero.
Yeah,
they've rebooted that twice now, and I don't hear anybody complaining. Like, you can pretty much do what you want, especially in a game like this. Just yeah. A couple of little nods to keep the fans happy, like anyone who does care, and I think you're golden. Do what you want.
Yeah, they weren't the most charismatic characters anyway, like Leon and Chris, and Wesker was just, I don't know what he was.
Yeah, mate, and I heard there was like a Barry spin-off, like the guy. Yeah, he had like 10 lines in the first one. Like, and you thought he was bad for a while. It's kind of a little twist. He got his own game. It's like, no, Barry does not need his own game.
Yeah, no, Barry didn't need that, but people wanted it. I wanted to touch on the Revelation series. I don't know if you've actually sat down and played these, but they actually are getting a decent reception. You've got Revelations 2, which is obviously out now, and that kind of like seemed like their first step back into a survival horror-y type situation. Well, from what you've seen and heard, do these hold any interest for you to go through and play them? They're not obviously major, numbered Resident Evil releases, but it sounds like they are offering something that's, a little bit more acceptable after what 6, just disastrously went wrong.
Yeah, I've got Revelations 1 on my 3DS. I think
that's it. It's
launched on.
Yeah.
I've not beat it. I need to go back to it, but yeah, it's decent, mate. It's like, it's got a good setting. You're on a ship for a while, which you kind of think that really suits that genre if you're going to have tight confined spaces. Wasn't too keen on the enemies. They were like these weird, like water-based zombie things. They weren't great, but yeah, it was nice. It was a good game. I definitely need to go back and play it. And I've heard number 2 came out in episodes, didn't it?
That's it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's fair play to them again. Like, you want to pick one up, give it a try, do it.
Yeah.
I mean, the only thing with that is it kind of reminds me of like the new Super Mario Bros. It's like, I feel like, the new idea didn't work, so kind of, go back to what it's not really evolving it, is it? It's just, it feels a bit of a step backwards, like if you're going to be complain, but it's it's serving a purpose, and if it's done well, then yeah, I mean, it's a good thing.
Yeah, I mean they've got decent reviews and people go out and enjoy. I mean, Revelations 2 does have a co-op element as well, which people have said is quite interesting to go through. But I mean, it's just incredible how many games are actually in this series when you look back, isn't it? There are so many.
Mate, yeah, with all the spin-offs and things, and all the remakes now. Yeah, you're looking at it's a huge sprawling thing.
Yeah, and you look also, if you want to, you can have a look at the films that they've spawned as well. So amazing that from humble beginnings, it spawned about 5 sequels. Well, they're not the best films, but they financially must have done well because they wouldn't have kept making the bastards.
Yeah, I've heard they've done really well. I mean, I don't know the later ones maybe, but yeah, there's another one coming out soon, the final one.
Jesus.
Yeah, it's happening. I've got a bit of a soft spot for some of them as well. I know
they're an easy watch. You're not going to see them at the Oscars, but they're an easy watch. You know, if you want to sit down and watch some action, they're not really survival horror either. They're more down the action route, but can't complain too much, can you?
Mate, they're dreadful, but yeah, there's something about them for me. I can watch them. I don't know why, but they play like heavy metal, over zombie killing. It's the strangest thing I've ever seen. Like, I don't know, all these actors trying to look like, like dressing as they do in the thing, in the game in ridiculous circumstances. It's crazy. But yeah, I forgot about those. The films. Yeah,
they're all knocking about now. And we move on to, we come to present day now. Resident Evil 7 Biohazard it's called. So obviously in Japan that'd be called Biohazard Resident Evil 7.
Right.
Cool. Did you see? Oh, I assume so. I've made that up. I can only think that's what they're going to do with it in Japan because obviously they're named Biohazard in Japan.
Yeah.
What did you see the actual reveal for this? I'm sure you didn't see it live, but did you see the trailer? Did you see the trailer before knowing it was Resi 7, or did you already know you was watching Resident Evil 7?
No, I've seen the trailer and I've played it now, the playable demo, but I didn't see it drop.
No. So I was actually watching the press conference, not live. I watched it the day afterwards, and I was thinking, what the fuck is all this? And then that 7 come up, and I was like, what? And it came with Resident Evil, and I couldn't believe it was a Resident Evil game. From what they had showed, I was shocked to see that this was the direction they were going. I was pleased because it looks like, we talk about Resident Evil 6 and Revelations, although good, it's just going back to what it was doing before. This is something completely different. We're going first person here, and the only concern I had when I first saw this is that it's linked to that VR demo called The Kitchen, where you're which I thought, and I looked since, people seem to love it. I thought it was awful. You just sat in a chair and moved the controller once, and I was like, right, what's this? And I was like, are you not scared? And I was like, well, I'm in a room with, I was at AGX, I'm in a room with fucking loud music playing around the corner I can hear, and I'm quite aware that, I can't do much to influence this. I'm just sitting there. But I have to say, having played the demo, it's got some potential there. What are your thoughts on Resident
I loved it.
Yeah?
I thought it was kind of PT watered down somewhat.
Oh, yeah, PT light. You go back and play that, and we'll get onto that. But yeah, it's certainly, it's got the dummy finger, but there's no other secrets there that issues.
No, that's what I mean. It felt like having now played PT many times, it's really like PT light.
Yeah.
But I mean, Christ, if you're going to take inspiration from somewhere, I mean, I'm surprised there's not way more PT rip-off. So
yeah,
I was keen on it. I liked it. I thought it was, really nice change of pace. I mean, at a time when they need to do something different, it's a brave choice, but it's the right choice, I think.
Yeah. Well, speaking of PT influence, Capcom have come out and said that RE7 was in development before PT. I don't know how much I believe of that.
It's a bit convenient, isn't it? Unless, I don't know.
To be fair, there's been first-person stuff coming out before, and I think, we'll go through those later. So it may have been they just saw that was maybe a trend that was occurring and whatnot, but it certainly has those vibes, doesn't it? You're in that crooked old house, which is actually really well set, actually. I like the light on that, because if you look out the windows, it's like cracks of light. It's actually in the daylight, it's in the daytime.
Yeah.
They make it so dingy and horrible looking with all the boards over. It's the word I'll use is atmospheric.
Yeah, very, very much so. Yeah.
That. How do you feel this is actually going to come to a full game? We've already been told this is not part of the main game. This is just going to be, this is almost like a teaser for it. It's not going to appear in the main game. This beginning hour, as they call it. Going through, I don't know, say an 8-hour campaign, first person. It's got VR capability too.
Am I right in saying that you can play the whole game in VR?
Yes.
Yeah.
So that first, there's concerns for me with that because.
Yeah, agreed.
A graphical bog down. And I think playing it VR will be an amazing experience, but I'm not sure it's the right way to play it. Simply because I've heard from people's feedback that when you crouch, for example, it just pops down like the screen. It's some weird things that happen during VR, and it feels makes people feel a little bit queasy because you're moving your head, but your body, you kind of get transferred into that world, whether you like it or not. You put on a VR headset, you feel like you're there. So when your body, when you're moving with the control and he's sort of swaying and your head's not doing that, it can make people feel a little bit ill. And that's my concern with it. I mean, it's there for people that want it, but I don't see myself rushing out buying a VR headset like a PlayStation VR to go for. I'd be happy to go for this normally, but over the course of an 8-hour game, playing this just in like as a first person. What do you want them to do? There's an axe there which suggests there's combat, which is good. I was thinking, well, is it going to be one of those Outlast type things where you're hiding all the time? What's going to happen?
I have no idea. I mean, when you talk like that, and I agree, it is a bit of a worry. I think you're going to struggle to maintain any kind of atmosphere for that long.
Yeah.
So I feel like, I don't know. In my head, I'd like a few houses or whatever, like some kind of VR sections maybe, rather than the whole game in VR. I mean, I don't think I'd want to, at the moment, how VR is and what I know of it, I don't think I'd want to play any like full release in VR.
Not when it's been tacked on.
No, like for 8 to 12 hours. That just seems a bit over the top.
You wouldn't be able to play it for more than a couple of hours before being just drained, I would have thought.
Exactly. So, I mean, well, that's happening now, isn't it? So that's done. That's confirmed. So that's what we're going with. So
yeah,
I like the trailer's great. All I can go on at the moment is the fact that that's the playable trailer. That's it's good. I'm excited for it. I look forward to seeing like more and reviews. But the whole VR side of things does worry me somewhat. And
so I don't know. Sorry, go on.
I was just going to say, with the setting of the game, and because PT wasn't, that was just the full release for that would not have looked anything like that game. I'm assuming that's just a way of getting you into the world, isn't it? And saying this new game's coming out, it'll probably be nothing like what you've just seen. But this, on the other hand, is more. I mean, I'm assuming that family has something to do with the main game.
Yeah, well, you'd think so. You'd hope so. What's the point in doing it?
I don't know if the guy you are is like the protagonist of the new game, but you're not dead at the end, are you? So
no.
You're going to feature at some point, perhaps. I don't know, mate. But yeah, kudos to him for going with a different angle again. It seems like they're willing to take risks with the series, but
got nothing to lose, have they?
No, I guess. But then you say that, then they've just sold the most games they've ever sold.
I did think that people going, they had to do this. And I was thinking, well, did they? Like, it just come off the back of like the worst critically acclaimed game, and it sold the most. You could have potentially just gone right, lowest common denominator, action fest, and done, got the safe sales in. With something like this, and we will come on to survival horror in general soon. Is a bit of a risk. I don't think that has a mass market appeal these days too much.
No, but I mean, the way I see it, I mean, I don't know. I'm not a businessman, obviously, but with the Nintendo Wii, they had huge sales, but a bit of like further digging would have told you that most of those consoles were sitting under the TV, dust collecting.
Yeah.
No games being purchased.
Yeah.
So don't go down that avenue again. You got lucky once.
Yeah.
And it kind of. That's what happened with the Wii U. They kind of went with it's not broke, don't fix it kind of route, and it cost them massively.
Yeah.
Which maybe like Resident Evil 6 sold loads.
Yeah.
How many people enjoyed that game?
Yeah. They've been burned once.
Yeah. So like I don't know how many people are going back for a Resi 7.
Yeah.
So good on them for going that way, but yeah, it's a big gamble what they're doing. It's a complete at the moment, a complete departure from anything. So
yeah.
But I mean, VR's still waiting for its killer app. Maybe this is it. I mean, horror is definitely the way, one big way for VR to go with. I mean,
you
can smack up a ton of atmosphere in that thing. So
yeah,
who knows? Yeah, it could be amazing. You know, if it's set in a house or in a tight location, you know, a relatively small game. I don't know. But then, if you're not playing it in VR and you're over in 7 or 8 hours, are you going to be happy?
Well, yeah, this is a concern.
Maybe if it's good. Who
Well,
knows? I've no idea.
I mean, the demo itself did lend itself to a couple. I mean, the ending's the same, but you can do different things, can't you? You can put the fuse in the fuse box and pull the stairs down, pick up a phone, then you get taken out, or you can just try and get the key and get out the back door. So maybe what I'd like them to see them do is to offer different routes, different ways to do things. There's different consequences for doing certain things. That's one way to string out a game's kind of long-term appeal, is to say, right, you've done it that way, like almost go back to Resident Evil 2. Now try it with the other character, or try going down this route, go through that door, and see what happens. It's
a bit like the what was the one before Phantom Pain, the short game they done.
Oh, what, Ground Zeroes?
Yeah, Ground Zeroes. Like, I know a lot of people love that, going back and doing it all the different ways and just, getting every little bit of like juice out of it they possibly can.
Yeah.
If your game's good enough and, the kind of, like sandbox you give people will, go back in again and again and again. So, that could work that way.
Yeah. So they've said that you can obviously fight back. You can use weapons against enemies, but you're not to expect like a gun fest. So maybe you'll get a bullet or two to use, which will mean that resource is particularly valuable if you don't get a lot of it. And if you're doing VR and you use the move sticks and you're manually aiming, that's going to add a bit of tension, isn't it? You've got to actually aim yourself. That'll be good. Things like puzzle solving, resource management, healing herbs, they've been confirmed to be reappearing in the game. They love their herbs. They can't get away from those. Quick time events are going to be absent. So some you love those.
Fair enough. They've used those to death, though, haven't they? That's probably the right choice.
You go and tell Telltale that, and they'll say, no, they'll be in every game we do. That's how we run our games. And I'm not sure what they're going to do with the story. It's set off. I was a bit disappointed it wasn't a full reboot, especially in a game like this where it looks completely different and it's a different vibe. I thought this is a chance to do that. Just completely separate. Go 6 was the end of it. Go, sorry, but we made a mess of that. But it's set after Resident Evil 6 in modern day. It features a new main character. They don't have any combat skills of like Leon or Chris. And there's connections to previous games that exist, but there's going to be no returning characters. So that is what you wanted. Don't let them get involved. Don't have Leon pop up at the end and go, "Oh, stars, I'm saving you."
Right.
President's daughter.
Like you said, it could almost just be its own franchise. I don't know why they're tacking on Resi 7. I'm guessing the story's going to have those nods and things along the way, like you said. But is it needed? Probably not. I don't know.
I'd have been happy if they'd been calling it Resident Evil Biohazard, but decided not to. They put the 7 on there, which I still don't think that is always a good move marketing-wise, because you think, well, I haven't played the other 6.
No, I agree.
It's a thing that I have personally. I think, can I... The Witcher 3 was tough for me, not playing 1 and 2. But in the end, I didn't cut.
Mate, Rocky's learnt from it, and he's getting Oscar nominations now. That's what you get when you do that.
That is mad, isn't it?
It's true. You want your game to be accessible, I guess. Yeah, especially when you're going up into almost the teens. Like, just cap it. You get past 4, start just calling it a name. Done.
Yeah, absolutely. January 24th, worldwide release date for Resident Evil 7 Biohazard. Not that far away, really, considering a lot of stuff that's shown at E3, especially on the Sony side, don't come out for 2 years. So not that long to really find out until we get a glimpse of this. What do you think then? Are we going to get a better than Resi 6? Are we going to get anything groundbreaking, or is it going to be a disaster?
It's a big franchise for them, isn't it? They haven't got a lot going on, Capcom.
No.
So you'd think they've got their best men on the job. Do you know what? I'm going to gamble. I'm going to say it's going to be a big winner. They're going to bat it out of the park. Yeah.
Yeah.
People will be loving this.
Let's hope so.
When does PlayStation VR launch?
October. So it'll be out beforehand. So it's going to be ready, waiting to go.
This is the one, mate. This is the killer app that sells it. I know it's already sold out, but this is the one that makes it. You've got people waiting around the block
trying to get it. Trying to get midnight releases.
Midnight releases, yeah, big time.
Let's move on to survival horror itself, because this links quite nicely in. Because you look at the it's gone third, first person. Sorry. Resi 7, which we didn't think was ever going to happen. Do you think the genre's dying for third person? The only game that come out recently that I can put my finger on is The Evil Within, which I quite enjoyed. You didn't like that, which I was quite surprised at. Even the godfather of Resident Evil doesn't live up to his expectations for Mr. Adcock. Dead Space was probably the last one before that I remember being in that vein. And you don't see a lot of them these days. They're obviously expensive to make, and maybe the market is small. First person seems to be where places are going. I said we've got PT, we've had Outlast, we're having Outlast 2, Alien Isolation. Don't know if you remember Slender, that indie game that came out. That was fucking terrifying. Amnesia, The Dark Descent. I've got that on Steam. Not going to play it because it sounds like it's too terrifying. And now Resi 7. Is this the new future for survival horror? Going down a first person route?
Sounds like it, doesn't it? Like, yeah, absolutely. I mean, why not? It's definitely, I guess, got a bit stale now. It's not to say if it's done right in third person, it's not really good still, but
yeah, you look at Dead Space, it was done very well.
Yeah, absolutely. And I guess as they kind of, the field fans out and there's less and less, you got room then for like maybe an indie game in third person to come along and make headways. But yeah, I mean, why not make a change? And yeah, first person lends itself well to the genre.
Yeah, one of my points was, and this goes back to one of my first ever videos I did on Dimp Digital, and it was actually an Outlast review.
Yeah,
and I mentioned that was the first time I'd sat through a whole game from start to end and played it in first person. And it was an out and out survival horror. Like, there's a lot of hide and seek, that you've got no weapons, you have to run away if someone sees you. And one of the deciding factors that made it so tense and sometimes terrifying was the notion that you can't use the camera to peek around corners, like to see what's coming. You have to physically move your character round the corner or through a door, and if you can see the enemy, chances are they can see you. And you can't use the camera then to aid you and hide. You had to just you're through the eyes of the character. So if you can see their eyes, if they turn around, they can see you. It made things a lot more intimate and intense, which I think lends itself to the horror genre. A lot better than a third person game with guns and whatnot.
Yeah, totally agree. I think it's that side of it, and then I've totally lost my train of thought now.
That's unfortunate. Late on in the podcast.
Sort of dead air. That's it. That's dead.
Yeah.
I've gone, mate. It's over. Cut.
We'll keep that in. It's part of the new way we do things on IGC, to keep all the blunders in so that people remember them. But you mentioned you played Outlast.
Yes.
This morning, even, was it on a PC?
Certainly did.
Well, what did you think of Outlast?
It looked fucking amazing on PC, mate.
It looked
looked
nice.
So good. It was beautiful. Everything turned up to the max.
Yeah.
It looked good. I'm terrible, mate. Mouse and keyboard. I am shockingly bad. I can't do it. It's way too quick.
Want to get yourself a 360 pad? Just plug that in.
That's what you need. But yeah, I mean, I've not completed Outlast. I've got it on my PlayStation back home, and I only played it for maybe an hour and a half. But I totally agree, mate. It's fucking terrifying, that game. The fact that you can't fight back and you are just running.
Yeah.
I love it. The only thing is, I'm seeing that, the whole hiding under the bed, hiding in a locker.
Yeah.
It's getting a bit stale now, isn't it? I've seen it in so many.
Yeah, they did in Alien Isolation and whatnot.
Yeah, pretty much. It works brilliantly, but
don't keep going to the well.
Every time you get it, it becomes diluted, and the effect of it is less and less each time. I think even Resident Evil 6 had bits of that in as it goes. Remember, you had to hide in like a bin or something.
Yeah, I think you did. Yeah, there was some bullshit.
Yeah, I love it, but that's my only thing. I think the first person, as good as it is, and it does work so well with the atmosphere and whatnot. There's a couple of like truly tried and tested scenarios and things, and hopefully they're just going to think of more and more ideas of what to do to make it interesting. Like, I love the fact that you don't have a weapon in Outlast. It throws the whole thing up on its head. You can't just go in all guns blazing. You're constantly on edge. Things, they're fucking awful to play, mate. I couldn't have played it more than half an hour at a time anyway.
That is the problem. And that's why, typically, they're not as popular as they used to be, I don't think. Because people know, like Logan, he's not going to play it ever. He will never buy that a survival horror game because they're uncomfortable to play, and you either feed off that or you don't. You come off it. Like I have a strange kind of relationship with it. I will play it and I hate, like genuinely not enjoy it most of the time. I'll turn it off and I think, oh, thank God that's over with. And then I'll just be doing something else. I'll be either playing something else or I'll be out doing, and then I'll just think I really want to go back into that. And I don't know what it is. It's kind of like it feeds like this really weird addiction of being fearful and overcoming adversity. Those games prey on my mind when I'm not actively gaming more than any other types of games. I don't know what it is. When I had PT and I wanted to finish that, I was like, I need to get back in that. And when I was getting in the car going somewhere, and I was like, I really want to just go back into that, even though half an hour ago I turned it off because it was getting to me too much.
Yeah, I totally agree. It's like, I don't know, like it's a task that needs doing, a job rather, but you weirdly enjoy it.
It's gratifying, isn't it?
Yeah, it is strange. It's, I guess, like a really good horror movie though. The same thing. Like, why do you want to scare yourself? But you kind of do. It is a really good thing to do. Like we done that
Trick or
PT
treat
the other night. Oh man, it's awful. We were doing that PT the other night. We waited for it to get dark, played it with headphones,
oh my God.
Lights off, just for, you know, even though we'd done it a couple of times, and you kind of, it's not the same once it's done.
No.
You know what's coming, but just trying to get the full effect. I don't know why, just to make it that much more like terrifying.
Yeah.
I think with that game, it is just all sound design. Everything about it. If you nail that in the survival horror, that's
part of the job done, isn't it?
It's a massive percentage of your game. Yeah, like we played it silently once. Anyone who cares to know, I've played it about 10 times in the last 3 days. We were just doing it all different ways, and we don't turn the sound off and put music on.
Crap.
It's nothing. Yeah, it's not bad at all. You fly through it.
Yeah.
It's all in the sound design, the radio, the footsteps, the fucking baby, that fucking woman making her noises. It's awful.
And that's the key to it, isn't it? I mean, Alien Isolation had very good sound design as well. Like you'd hear the bloody alien running around, and then your little motion tracker would go beep, beep, beep. You think, oh, fucking hell. And the thing with that bastard was he was the main enemy. There were other things that were like humans and androids, but the AI on the alien was it was borderline. It was random. Like it would never do the same thing twice. So that same tactic that you used previously that failed might work again, but he might find you again. And it was just it was a constant unknown of going, right, I don't know what to do next. And every scenario play it differently. You could watch someone play it 10 times the same bit and it would always be different because the alien would do something different. He might not even show up sometimes and you think, oh, thank fuck for that. But again, like it's just that hearing that motion tracker go off. And it was just like, oh my goodness, I don't need this.
It's what I was going to say earlier when I forgot. It was exactly that. They can hit you with those two things, I think, when it's in first person. You've got that building dread, exactly what you're saying there, like you're with the sound design and whatnot. And then they can just throw in those really cheap jump scares by having something behind you, and it works that much better than third person. So like having those, I think you'll constantly have like a nauseating feeling. You're never comfortable playing them ever.
No, correct.
Awful.
So we look back at third person. Do you feel like do you want an Evil Within 2? I mean, I know you didn't like the first one. I was hoping to see this at E3 at Bethesda's press conference, and it didn't happen. A lot of people, Adkins, not Adcock, and Dave Salmon all said probably not worth getting it. Didn't get it. I borrowed it off you in the end and played through it.
Yeah.
Well, I was glad I played through it. I actually thought it was quite good. So I was warned off by 3 people who usually that's enough for me. Like particularly you, who was a big fan of Resident Evil all the way through. I was thinking this has got to be poor basically. But I quite liked it. Would you even entertain a new Evil Within drop-in or any kind of new third-person game in the
horror? Because I think there's enough. Although I wasn't massively keen on it, there's enough there. There's a pretty interesting story there. I hear you done the DLC, and I think it kind of fleshes it out a bit more. So
absolutely,
I would. There's enough there to warrant a second one for me. Just about.
Yeah. Shinji Mikami directing again, the mastermind.
Yeah, I mean, why not? It wasn't amazing, but it was just I found it's managing expectations. I was expecting the world, and that was never going to happen, basically. Whereas I think you had then had your expectations lowered you know, well done, and all of a sudden you're like, hang on a minute, this is a good game.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, maybe in hindsight I can look back and say, you know what, there's a third of those stages that I probably did enjoy, and you know, 2 or 3 that I thought were, you know, pretty special, to be fair. So yeah, why not? And you know, throw in a few different elements, maybe a couple of first-person sections, and yeah, why not?
Let's go for it. I want to see that. Even within 2, I want that announced. Give it a go. Take it one step further. But I think we'll call this to a close, mate. Let's wrap the podcast up. We've done our duty. Talked about Resi. Talked about survival horror. Talked about Resi 7. Which, as I'm thinking more about Resi 7, I'm getting... I don't know if you ever played it, but The Condemned. I think it's a launch title on the Xbox 360. It's like a first-person kind of... almost like a survival horror game, but a lot of melee combat.
Right, yeah.
And I'm just thinking now... that I can see it going down that route. Definitely look that up, because I mean, I don't know anything obviously, but for some reason I'm just getting that vibe now that we've started talking about it. That had very few shooting sections in it. Like, you'd have like 3, but you didn't need them, but you'd pick up like pipes and stuff, and people come and attack you. But Resident Evil 7 is coming January the 24th, 2017, worldwide release, Microsoft Windows, PlayStation 4, Xbox One. It's either going to make or break the franchise. I don't think you get away with 2 absolute stinkers, so we don't. I don't think you do. I don't think Capcom then go, right, bin that. That's not happening. Or they just go, right, let's remake the old ones.
Mate, the Japanese, they do what they want. They do anything.
They do what they want. You've only got to look at Nintendo. They just literally do whatever they want without any care in the world. But that's a wrap now. If you want to see what we're up to in between podcasts, head over to dimpdigital.com. You'll find our podcast library, all of our written content, and also our video content there as well. So that's www.dimpdigital.com. That's it for now. No game over. It's goodbye from Tom.
See you later, mate.
And it's goodbye from me, Apps. Thanks for your time, and ta-da.